Hello and welcome to Confused Rifts, also known as Challenge Rifts. And this is a very confused and very challenged necromancer. Very. So, what's wrong with it? More accurate question is what isn't. Now, if you don't own the necromancer pack, you can play this. You can. But I'd suggest going on to EU, getting power leveled, running a Greater Rift level 1, it's like on a monk or a demon hunter, and then just, or whatever your favorite class is, and then just playing that challenge rift, okay? To get an idea of what this kind of stuff is like as a necromancer. It's kind of like an in-between build. It's not a finished Trigouls build. It's kind of weird and fucked, but that build is a build. This isn't a build. This is like a randomizer picked this, right? But even, I say that, but even hitting random skills wouldn't get you this most of the time, because if you go on the normal calculators. Actually, it's a soul mirror. So if you take a look at this, this is correct. Shadow Hook for this build. It doesn't have any damage, so Shadow Hook makes sense. Dainty's Binding. Could have equipped this, but they wanted the Witching Hour, non-ancient, for their LON build. Don't look at me. I'm not the one who made this. And a Convention. Not a Grisman's, but hey, at least they made an effort. They tried. Maybe they just haven't gotten one at Paragon 754. Weirder shit has happened, I guess. They should have one by now, but God knows. So, this Necromancer has two things. It has its own damage, and it has the pet damage, okay? Now, these things are interlocked, and they're pulling at a tug of war, and they can't figure out pet damage, self-damage, pet damage, self-damage, and they're going nowhere. And the build suffers extremely from it. It's like two people were making this build who didn't know how to play Necromancer, and this is what we got, okay? Skills, Grim Scythe, Execution. That is the wrong skill rune. So if it was any other rune, I would have been like, okay, I guess. Cursed Scythe would have been a great choice. But, you know, so would have Frost Scythe, Blood Scythe, okay. Dual Scythe, but like, Execution, when they're below 20% HP, a 5% chance to kill, 5% chance to instantly kill them. This isn't a fast attacking skill. This is with extra attack speed, and it's still this, like, this is what you're looking at. Bone Spirit. This is a skill that has 15-second cooldown and 3 charges. They picked the Poltergeist rune so they'd have an extra charge, rather than, I don't know, Astral Projection, which would synergize with the pants they have, but fuck that. Or maybe even Unfinished Business for some AoE, which they don't have any of. So then we have Decrepify, Wither, instead of Borrowed Time. Borrowed Time would again synergize with Bone Spirit and would give him more cooldown reduction, because, you know, 15 seconds is a long time for an ability. Command Skeletons with literally the worst rune, actually the worst choice. Even no rune's better than Kill Command. It makes them do like no damage, like 215% weapon damage, and 7 skeleton sacrifice is nothing when they hit, you know, for a fair amount of damage on their own pretty quickly. As you can see, the passive is skeletal minions deal 50% weapon damage as physical per attack, and they attack pretty fast. So if it takes 4 attacks, for, you know, in the downtime of your command skeleton when they're dead, then this is automatically weaker, right? Because in that time, if they commenced 4 attacks, well, then that would have been equal damage, pretty much. You know, save 15% damage. And if you'll see, if I command these guys over there, 1, 2, 3. You get the idea. This counts all the way up to fucking 7. You can see how when they're attacking, let's command them again.
That is not possible.
Let's see how many. Let's show you how many attacks. 1, 2. Right? When they attack 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Like, they are losing so many attacks, it's not funny. Kill Command is literally the worst rune. If you have, like, just Frenzy, or Dark Mending, or Freezing Grasp, all much better choices. Even fucking Enforcer, I guess, if you don't have Jessiths, which this set doesn't. And you know you're not worried about you're worried about your essence. Like, even Enforcer makes more sense. Kill Command is just bad. No rune is also better than Kill Command because you still keep your DPS. Frailty, Scent of Blood. Okay, so this is minion damage. So we have Grim Scythe. Grim Scythe is actually buffed by one of our items. So that's our damage. It's so that's our damage. That's pulling this way. Bone Spirit, that's also being buffed, so it's pulling more this way. Decrepify with Wither, so it doesn't have the right rune, so it's kind of like pulling a little bit more towards this way. Command Skeletons. Okay, so we're going into minion damage. Starting to pull minion damage. Frailty, Scent of Blood. This is minion damage. Revive. This is minion damage. We're not pulling it this way. See why I mean? They're pulling against each other. This build is 2 builds at once, or some crazy shit. So instead of Scent of Blood, if it was Aura, that'd be much easier to deal with in most circumstances. There's a number of good runes. Scent of Blood is good for when you're actually doing a lot of minion damage, but this is like a split between minion damage and self damage, so and personal damage, I should say. So this doesn't make sense. Revive, Horrific Return only makes sense if you have Crisbins. This doesn't have Crisbins, so it doesn't make sense. When you have Crisbins, Sentence, the Ring, anything that is not, if it's slowed by an ability such as Decrepify, it will take 100% increased damage. If instead it is by any other control impairing effect, it will take 300% increased. So this only makes sense if you have that, right? Because everything in 20 yards is now going to be running in Fear at a slow pace because Decrepify, and on top of that, they're going to be taking 300% increased damage during those 3 seconds. So that first 3 seconds of the revive is going to be pretty powerful. But Oblation is just generally a better choice because it makes the thing do 20% increased damage at no real harm to you. Right? I mean, you could even have Personal Army if you wanted to and just like stack a whole bunch of them up and get some reduced damage taken, but that's stupid. Purgatory, maybe. Recklessness it's not good. It's just like a worse version of Oblation, honestly. So that's the wrong rune choice. Overwhelming Essence, this is technically correct because we have the Shadow Hook, if you remember that. Every point of maximum essence increases your damage. This is technically correct, but it's not correct for the actual build that we're trying to run. Again, it's like just a weird choice. Like, it works, but it's not correct in the technical sense of things. Like, you could have run better weapons and better things in your cube. Swift Harvesting, this is personal damage, so now we're being pulled back towards doing damage ourselves. Then we got Extended Servitude, so we're being pulled right back towards, we want to do minion damage. And then we have Blood for Blood, which is just, what is happening? Blood for Blood is only for blood skills. This is a primary skill. This is a bone skill. Bone. Spirit. Bone. This is a curse. This is a reanimation. This is a curse. This is corpse. There aren't any blood skills. Why do we have blood for blood? This, like, I'll read it to you. Picking up health globe removes the health cost for the next blood spell. This effect can stack up to 10 times. Now, you pick up these globes, this never goes away because there aren't any blood skills. It does nothing. Now the items. This is fun in all the wrong ways. A Gift of Solaria instead of Hope of Cain for an ancient weapon that actually would do something, rather than a fucking Gift of Solaria, which is already a bad sword. Like, if this was a good sword, I might be able to see this. Like, as just a general premise, but it isn't a good sword, so I don't even understand what's happening here. So yeah, this is stupid. It's ancient, I guess, LON, but we're missing 5 items as ancient, so that doesn't even matter. This shouldn't even be a Legacy of Nightmares build. So we'll actually examine those items that are not ancient. So Mara's Kaleidoscope. Honestly, like that, like this is silly. It's not a very good one. Like, it works, but there's no socket, and the critical hit damage. The critical hit damage is only spread across 3 items in this build. This one is one of them. The Gift of Solaria is the other, and the third is the Witching Hour. The Witching Hour also not being ancient. And a very curious roll, indeed. But it's damage, I guess. I mean, you could have equipped the Dainty's Binding and had something else in your cube for your armor slot, but hey, maybe I'm just being a pedant. Or maybe I'm actually thinking about what's actually happening in the build. Who knows? And we got these Pestilence Gloves. I mean, I don't know. This is happening. This is happening. It's a thing. We've got the Volition, so the Mage Shoulders. So this doesn't make sense either. This is Skeletal Mages gain the Gift of Death Rune, which isn't that great to begin with. Actually, I don't think I can show you. I believe it leaves a corpse behind when they die, which isn't all that great. Unless you're running a corpse-heavy build. I mean, it can make sense in a number of builds, but like it doesn't fully function in this build because we're not running fucking mages at all. So what is the point? Why would we bother? Any Ancient Shoulders would work here. This one just confuses me more because they're Ancient Shoulders for the Necromancer. So I don't know. We got this non-ancient Aquila Curious. This is amazing. Not only is it a 92% roll, but it's also not ancient. So, not sure what the point of this one is. We have interesting critical hit chance rolls on this Wailing Host, which is also non-ancient. And you'll notice, okay, so how much crit chance, crit damage we have? Well, we have 61% critical hit chance and 363% critical hit damage. Now, that means that we don't have anything in the way of crit damage. So we crit a lot, but we don't crit for much of anything. Now, if this was 100% higher, I could see this being okay, right? If it was not 100%, but 70% higher, right? If it was over 400% critical hit damage, I could see this, and I'd be like, all right, I'll let that slide completely, right? He has a lot of crit chance on his gear. He's just gotten it naturally, but he doesn't have all the crit damage to back it up. Because you want to keep it at a 1 to 10 ratio. For every 1% crit chance, 10% crit damage. Right? Kind of deal. But that's not what's happening here at all. Like, this is nearly half. So we're getting into some dangerous territory. But of course, the crit chance is actually so they can use a pain enhancer, even though the pain enhancer is not going to do dick for them. This is the, again, tug of war. I want to do damage. Because this, he could have put an enforcer gem in here, and the enforcer gem would make it so that his pets would do more damage. So curious, very, very curious. Of course, you know, again, another crit chance roll. Then we have these Defilers. Now, they're also non-ancient. These make it so that Bone Spirit does more damage the longer it travels. If it locks onto something, it travels quick. If it doesn't lock onto something, it travels slow. Meaning you are literally going to skill shot if you want the maximum amount of damage from Bone Spirit. I guess we're playing Dota or League now. I don't know. Very interesting choice. These Ice Climbers, while you may be like, oh wow, another stupid item, this actually makes sense. You don't have a way to escape CC, crowd control effects, as, you know, a Necromancer. So this does actually have some level of sense to it. Making you immune to freeze and immobilize effects, well, yeah, that makes it so you can't be jailed or frozen. You still shouldn't be in those. I mean, the jailer you can't avoid, but you shouldn't be in the freeze effects. But, alright, I can see this as a choice. You could have picked better options, potentially, but this is definitely an option if you were doing an LON build, even though LON is strictly worse than pretty much any other build you can do as a Necromancer, even before the next patch. Kind of confusing. So, Ledger's Disdain, this is, I want to do damage. However, you don't actually spend enough resource to make this worth it, so not so much on the I want to do damage versus the pets do damage thing. Lukuni Prowlers, it does damage, I guess. They're ancient, I guess. Cool. They're physical skills, though, so this is I want to do damage, because poison is what we're using for our minions. So, yeah, more of I want to do damage. And, of course, Mask of Scarlet Death, best for last. This actually is, you know, useful. Revive now consumes all corpses to raise a much more powerful minion. This is a 148% roll per corpse. And if you imagine you've killed a lot of stuff and then you raise something, it's gonna do a lot of damage. You kill 15 little guys, and then you go to the pack and you're like, hello, revive something from out of the corner, and now it's doing a ton of damage. Like, oh, hey, look, it's hitting for, you know, like 700 million a hit, and it's like hit, 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 hit. You know, that's some damage for this build, right? That's nice, but again, there's no real backup for this. It's like this isn't a setup for a revive build. It just has revive on it. Like I don't know. Well, I can't imagine how much more powerful this was if this was running instead of like frailty. If this was running any kind of skeletal mage, oh my god. This would be so much easier to handle. Just that one thing changed. Even though, I mean, you wouldn't be casting, you know, anything else, really. You'd be mostly concerned with your skeletal mages, but, like, you'd at least be doing a ton of damage through your skeletal mages, because skeletal mages do a fuckload of damage. This is the thing. Of course, that kind of necessitates using Julian's Love and all that, so... yeah. On top of the Chrisman. So then you're dropping the Litany of the Undaunted and Wailing Host, and now you're not running an LON build anymore, so you might as well put on set gear, and yeah, we're back to Rothmas. Kind of awkward. Legacy Nightmares builds just don't pan out on Necro, and in this one you're missing 5 items. So that's 500% damage additive to the, it would be 1,300%, so 1,300, but it's 800% instead. And instead of taking, what is it, 62% reduced damage, you are taking 32% reduced damage. So if I'm doing that math in my head right, it'd be 8 times 4. Yes, 32, because it's 10 times 4 is 40 minus 2 instances of 4. Yeah, that's 32. So that's 8. So yeah, not very good at all. Any bit of it. I have now taken 20 minutes again to go over every aspect of this build. Oh yeah, this should be I missed something. This should be a cooldown reduction if this is really gonna focus on Bone Spirit, because that way it'd have more opportunity to cast Bone Spirits. And just like completely rethinking all the legendary gems would be a good idea too. We need the damage from the int gems, because this does no damage, so whatever. You just roll scythes to get the what's the scythe called? It's the one that makes them take increased damage if they're cursed. You'd probably take that one. Since you can't run Jessiths, because this is LON. So you'd probably run something like that. But if you're actually to improve this build, you would literally just not run like half the skills this is running. You change every single rune. You change probably every single passive except for Overwhelming Essence. And either Extended Servitude or Swift Harvesting. You'd probably keep Extended Servitude, make this a pet build. Pet LON, which would be weird. But you could do it. But yeah, this is... Oh boy. All to do a Greater Rift 50 in 6 minutes. That's just how powerful Necro is. All of this has gone wrong, and it still does a Greater Rift 50 in 6 minutes. That is just how powerful Necromancers are. Thankfully, everyone's being brought up to the level of Necromancer. Well, just kind of below it, actually. But we're being brought up to Necromancer kinds of power on all of our classes, so that's going to be a lot of fun. Next patch, and that's coming soon. They've actually announced the date. I will be live streaming that the moment it hits. I'll be going with my friends, hopefully. And we'll be all leveling together and all, doing the conquests together, seeing if we can get on the leaderboards for some of them. But that's a few weeks in the future. But I'll keep mentioning it. Twitch.tv/ScaithGaming. That'll be a thing. Otherwise, yeah. I've dissected everything this build could be about. I don't think there's any... I've picked this to pieces. There's nothing left. Like, oh no, I didn't. The life per kill sucks. That potion sucks. For this build. So there we go. Now everything's picked to pieces. I think I've not missed anything. Right? Everything else I pretty much covered. Other than like rerolls or like best rolls, like I think I've covered almost everything. I don't know. There's so much wrong. I could have missed something. Paragon? Oh, no max essence. Is this? This should be max movement speed. He needed 3%. He put in 12%. This could have gone into maximum essence. He could have done more damage. There's a split in vitality and intelligence. That's very interesting. He preferred crit chance over attack speed, despite the fact that whatever. I'm not even gonna try that one. This is correct. That's also correct. I was expecting gold find, honestly. Yeah, that has to be everything now. That has to be literally everything. Like, the stuff in the follower doesn't matter. Oh, no, we have onslaught instead of charge. We don't have charge. No, I did miss something. Again, I apologize. I missed something. I missed the fact that we're using charge instead of you're using Onslaught instead of Charge. Onslaught known for doing no fucking damage at all, compared to Charge, which will stun everything within 8 yards for 3 seconds. Very useful skill. Very dependable. Part of what makes the Templar a very solid pick, if you don't know what to do. So yeah, no, I did miss something. Also, Pig Sticker's fucking annoying, but that's just personal bickering. It has Oculus. Yeah, I think that's every bit of the build picked apart now. I'll see you next week. Hopefully we get a good build then. Otherwise, yeah, it's been Skaith. Thank you very much for watching. Leave a like if you liked it. Leave a dislike if you think I'm annoying or you disliked what I had to say. And please leave a comment. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about this. I'm out.